Hello again, my name is Ben. Here I am today with the video I promised to do yesterday, where I will be comparing the Halo Infinite Warthog Rally set with the Halo Universe Red Team Warthog Rescue. The purpose of this video is to just compare these two sets, their figures, their builds, value, just a few other aspects, and just determine, for mostly myself, which one's better, and maybe some of the opinions stated may influence your decisions. I don't. You choose whatever you want. I don't really care. But this is just going over some of the aspects and seeing which ones are better, in at least my opinion. Anywho, first things first. I'll start off with the boxes. Not a very important aspect of the set, but for me personally, the older Warthog Rally box design has a lot more just going on, and has just a bit more character with the backgrounds, and it just feels like there's a lot more effort put into it. Unfortunately, the box that I have is a little messed up, so you won't see a lot of the good design, but you can get an idea of the landscaping and the more dynamic designs there. And just by contrast, the very just lifeless, bland sort of design that they've used now. I will say that the purple that they use on these newer boxes, I think, looks a lot better than the orange. It just kind of stands out more. But that's just sort of a basic thing, not really any. Give it in favor of the Warthog Rally, but it's not a real major deal breaker or anything. Now, moving on to the figures. The Warthog Rally, I'd say, has the advantage of having a bit of like a conflict inside the box, where you get the two Jackals, where you can put battles between the two forces. The Red Team Warthog Rescue, of course, only has UNSC forces, so you don't really get any of that action there. But depending on what you're looking for, that may be an issue or a pro in your opinion. But of course, we get the two Jackals in this set. Pretty good figures, not much to complain about. For UNSC forces, we get the Halo Infinite Master Chief. A good figure, I'd say. Not much to complain about here. Printing and just detailing is spot on, and not much to complain about there. And we also get the Halo Infinite Style Marine. These are the older sort of leg designs where they end up being taller than the Spartans, which I'm sure some people dislike. I don't really care. He gets an SMG, and I do like these Halo Infinite Marine designs quite a bit, so I enjoy those. Now, of course, with the Red Team Warthog Rescue, we get Red Team. Obviously, you get all three members here, which are all very good figures, and I don't really have any complaints about them. They don't want to focus, but here's all three of them. Not really much to say about them. They're good figures, and for fans of Halo Wars and the Red Team, it is great to get these figures all in one convenient set. So for people looking for them, it's far more convenient, especially nowadays, since most of these figures are probably hard to get, I imagine. I haven't really done research in the aftermarket, but it's nice to get those figures. For me personally, I'd probably prefer getting the Warthog Rally, mostly because you can just build up an army with the Jackals and the Marines. Obviously, you're going to end up with a lot of Master Chiefs, but comparison with if you're buying a lot of the Warthog Rescue, you just end up with a whole bunch of Red Team members, which I don't really find to be that appealing of the aspect of the set. But for me, I'll have to say I'd prefer the Warthog Rally's minifigure selection, purely from the perspective of like amassing an army, and also me personally, I just don't have like a lot of connection to the characters of Red Team, so for me, it's not really something I care much for. Now, one thing that the Warthog Red Team Warthog Rescue has in side builds, which the Warthog Rally doesn't really have anything of. Of course, we get the Gauss turret stand and then the barricade. Obviously, in the primary build, these printed details are on this one, but I swapped them around for simplicity of comparison, and I just preferred in this configuration. So you do get a lot. You get a bit more playability out of this Warthog from just swapping around the parts and just having this as a bit of a barricade with larger action sequences that you may construct. Also, I forgot to mention that you also get the Spartan AI, but I don't really see that as a sort of huge pro in this set's favor, because this one also has like 3 less figures, so take that how you will. And of course, the side builds are a nice feature of this set, and the Warthog Rally just really doesn't have any of that. And you get the benefit of just swapping around the pieces. Now, onto the Warthog builds themselves. Of course, they have very different like design influences and inspirations. Like I mentioned in the review for this one. This one's based off the older Bungie designs from Halo 1, 2, 3, basically everything before Halo 4. So you get sort of the smaller, just sort of like boxier, yeah, that sounds right, design, some of the certain details from those designs. And then we get the Halo Infinite design, which is granted more based off the Halo 4 and 5 with the rails, which aren't present in Halo Infinite. But you do get more of that 343 inspired design here, which, depending on your preferences, you might dislike or like. I personally quite like this sort of beefier, bulkier look to the Warthog. I think it really gives it just a strong presence on the battlefield. This one here, I've noticed it just feels a lot smaller and just kind of, I don't want to be too critical, but it just feels a lot more like wimpy. And you can see just like turning them around, you can see the Infinite Warthog is, I wouldn't say substantially larger, but it's fairly larger and wider. It's longer, wider than the Red Team Warthog Rescue. It has some nice, both have nice details all around. You see just some things are similar, some things are different all around. You get basically the same amount of like features and like playability out of these both. Of course, apart from the obvious suspension, which I mentioned on this one isn't really anything significant. By contrast to the suspension on the Warthog Rally, you get a really nice suspension, and I think it's just really fun to like for playability for children or even just to fiddle around with. I personally enjoy. But I really don't have much else to say about the builds. They're both really good. For me personally, I prefer the Halo Infinite Warthog Rally. Of course, that's going to come down to personal preference for most people. If you prefer the more Bungie-inspired designs, then you might find this a preferable design. And if you just really despise the 343D era look, but to each their own. But for me personally, I'll have to say the Warthog Rally is the winner for me. If you were supposed to amass an army of Warthogs, the preferable one would probably be the Red Team Warthog Rescue, because you can get a mix of Gauss turret Warthogs and normal chain gun turrets. But still, with the figures, you don't really find much army building there, but build-wise, you do. So that is a factor to take into consideration if you're wondering or thinking about it yourself. But I think with all that being said, that kind of does it for this bit of a small comparison. They both have, I'd say, around the same price point of $30. I will say for $30, this one feels like a more substantial build, but of course you get the side builds here, so that kind of like counterbalances it. You might get more figures with the Warthog Rally, but I don't really think that's much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. But let me just get all these guys set up, and I'll just wrap up the video here. For me personally, I'd have to say I prefer the Halo Infinite Warthog Rally set. I don't know, I just prefer the design. I think the figures are a lot stronger. And of course, the main thing for me, I might be a bit biased, of course, because like I said in the Warthog Rescue video, I've never played Halo Wars, so I don't have much significance for Red Team. I think they're cool designs, but I don't really know much about them other than that. So for me personally, if I were to have these two on a shelf and forced to choose, I'd choose the Warthog Rally. Of course, you may feel different, you know, you can put your own opinions in the comments if you care. This is just a video going over some of the similarities, some of the differences, and for me personally, just deciding which ones I prefer. If you found this informative, then I'm glad you enjoyed it, but we'll wrap it up for the video. Once again, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great day. With all that being said, goodbye.